From there, we're jumping into 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps on the one-arm half-kneeling lat pull-down.
So the one-arm kneeling lat pull-down is a great way to start off your back day. I always see the benefits of starting off your back day with an isolation exercise. Just because your back is made up of multiple different muscles, if you start by doing an isolation exercise for one specific area, this area, if it's a weak point and you're trying to bring up, will feel the full benefits of your next exercises. I personally start my back day with isolation exercises too. Whether it's a rope pull which hits both the sides at the same time, or a one-arm cross-body lat pull down which hits both sides unilaterally.
So for these, you want to take a half-kneeling stance, bracing your non-working hand against the knee of the same leg. Having this more stable base of support will direct tension more efficiently onto the lats where you want it.
So when I was doing this exercise, I was a little bit all over the place. When I was doing my right side, my right knee was up, and when I was doing my left side, my left knee was up. It did take me a while to switch things up, but eventually when I was doing it correctly, I felt a lot more stable and I felt like I could lift a heavier load because that stability was there.
As you pull, try to keep the cable in your forearm in a straight line. If you notice that your forearm is meeting the cable at a different angle, you may have the cable set too high or too low, or you could be pulling the weight back too far. With these, you should stop the range of motion at the midline since the lats lose all of their leverage once the arm goes back behind the torso.
So when I was doing this exercise, I made a conscious effort not to bring the cable back too far. I didn't really want to activate too much bicep during this movement. I absolutely loved this exercise. I really felt the peak contraction at the bottom of the movement and it allowed me to get a nice deep stretch at the top. And I couldn't recommend it more if you like training unilaterally. But let me know what you prefer, unilateral training or bilateral training. Let me know in the comments.
Okay, after that we're doing one all-out AMRAP set for as many reps as possible on the pull-up.
So AMRAP pull-ups is always a good idea. You don't really want to be leaving any reps on the table when doing AMRAP, and that's how progressive overload happens. But doing one set of pull-ups, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. I'd like to do a minimum of 2.
Now, normally on a pull day, I do multiple sets for pull-ups. However, since we already smashed our lats on the cables, I figured we'd just do one all-out set here.
So the pull-up is a great exercise, don't get me wrong. It does hit your rhomboids, traps, lats, as well as engage shoulders, biceps, and your core. And I know it makes sense that he's doing one all-out set because he's only just hit the lats prior to going into the pull-ups. But in my opinion, I think he's leaving a lot on the table here. The pull-up is a great exercise and I personally feel like it's not being utilized properly in this perfect pull day. I'd much rather do a trap focused back exercise here than maybe on my third exercise go for at least 2 or 3 sets of pull-ups.
So as an AMRAP set, each week you should try to at least match or ideally beat the number of reps you got the week before while maintaining the same consistent form.
Keeping track of your weekly AMRAP reps lets you measure real progress over time, rather than relying on how heavy the weight feels. By focusing on strict form ensures that gains come from the lats doing the work, not swinging, not jerking, or overusing other muscles.
If you're bulking, just matching the number of reps should be enough to present an overloading stimulus, because as you gain weight, you're adding resistance. But if you're cutting, you should try to add at least 1 rep each week, because as you lose weight, you'll be lowering the resistance.
This highlights how body weight exercise interact with body composition. During a bulk, your increased mass naturally increases resistance, so maintaining reps still challenges the muscle. During a cut, that slight reduction in body weight makes reps easier. So incrementally increasing reps ensures the stimulus remains sufficient for muscle preservation.
All right, up next we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the croc row.
So I'm not going to lie, I didn't know this was its own exercise. I thought this was just ego lifting, a dumbbell row. But I did a little experiment myself. I done 4 sets of alternating strict dumbbell rows and crook rows, doing 2 sets of both each.
Now, a croc row is essentially just a more loose dumbbell row with a slightly more upright posture and a little more controlled cheating.
That slight controlled cheat allows for heavier loading than strict rows, which increases mechanical tension, the primary driver of muscle growth. That upright torso shifts some emphasis onto the upper lat and trap, helping create fuller back development.
Once you've mastered the technique basics, I don't think there's anything wrong with using a little controlled body English on select movements, especially if it allows you to overload the target muscle more effectively.
Focusing on strict form allows for better neuromuscular control and consistent activation of the back muscles. Proper technique also reinforces shoulder stability and also ensures that the lats and traps are primary movers, which is essential for long-term strength and hypertrophy
is that the strength curve of most back exercises is actually very unique in that it's super easy at the bottom and then much harder at the top. So if you stop at the first sign of any technique loss, let's just say you can't get that full squeeze at the top, so you terminate the set, you may be stopping well shy of the point of where your back is fully stimulated. So just using a little bit of momentum at the bottom can help your back approach that point of true exhaustion much more effectively.
So with my little experiment, I've done 4 sets, 2 of each, alternating. So I've done strict form, crook set, strict form, crook set, and I found 2 complete differences. With the strict form, I was doing it slow, controlled, and I only managed to get 10 reps of 25 kg. Whereas on the other hand, with the crook set, the pump was unreal. I felt after 1 set, my lat size just doubled, and I managed to get 20 reps of the exact same weight. So give them a go and let me know what you think of both techniques in the comments. If you're enjoying this video so far, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.
Okay, after that we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the cable shrug-in.
So with the cable shrugs, to be honest, I was very reluctant to try this exercise. I used to do cable shrugs many years ago, but I do this on one section of the pulley machine. And I do this on a straight bar with slightly wider grip, shoulder width apart, and I shrug upwards to feel the full effects into the traps.
These are nice because you don't need to load up any plates, so they're a quick and convenient upper trap option.
So I totally understand the convenience what Jeff is saying. With the pulley machine, you don't necessarily have to put any weights back, unload barbells or anything like that. But I've recently introduced dumbbell shrugs into my program, and I don't think anything gets easier than that. In my opinion, I think doing cable shrugs is a little bit of an inconvenience for other people, taking up a cable machine to do shrugs when you could easily pick up dumbbells or a barbell.
Also, the orientation of the cables tend to line up better with the orientation of the upper trap fibers, which don't run nearly as vertically as many people think, but actually fan out more horizontally.
So because the muscle fibers in the traps are more horizontal, it makes perfect sense why he wants to do this, because you're doing an up and in motion towards your neck. So you're going to be target them a lot more. But to be honest, I wasn't really a fan. I've never actually done that motion before in my life, so it was a little bit weird, unnatural, uncomfortable. I'd much rather just pick up 2 dumbbells and shrug them up the good old-fashioned way. But that's just me.
All right, up next we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the reverse pec deck.
So the reverse pec deck is a great exercise, especially for convenience, hitting both your rear delts at the exact same time. I personally like hitting my rear delts unilaterally, and I only do this on days where I'm running out of time in the gym and I don't have enough time to work unilateral with the cable rear delt fly.
On these, the main thing to focus on is sweeping the weight out and back, not just back.
So with the sweeping motion, it targets the rear delts and upper back by extending the arms outwards and back in a horizontal plane, emphasizing your stretch in the rear delt.
If you just pull the weight back, you're going to shift a lot of the emphasis onto the mid traps, which isn't a big deal if that's what you're going for, but we've already smashed the mid traps with pull-ups and croc rows, so I'd much rather isolate the rear delts here, since they are usually overpowered by the bigger back muscles in those compound movements.
So targeting the rear delts here not only balances shoulder development, but also contributes to more complete 3-dimensional back. Stronger rear delts fill out the upper back region and supports better posture, giving the entire back a wider, more defined look rather than just thickness through the traps and lats. Still here? Give the video a thumbs up, it will really help the channel out.
Okay, and to finish off the workout, we're doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps on the overhead cable bicep curl.
So a couple years ago, I had a very small phase about training your biceps overhead, but I got out of that relatively quickly. But I gave it a go for the purpose of this video, and I really enjoyed the exercise. The contraction in my bicep was unreal. I've still got DOMs a couple days on.
For this one, you want to kneel down and curl with your arm out to the side and up overhead.
Kneeling adds core stability and reduces momentum, forces the long head of the bicep to handle most of the load. The overhead position stretches the muscle differently than traditional curls, giving it a unique angle for growth and improves peak development.
Now, I don't often do overhead curls because I've always found them to be a bit awkward.
So overhead curls feel unlogical because the muscle is under tension in a stretch position, which feels less natural than a standard curl. However, this stretch could be advantageous, similar to how overhead tricep extensions specifically target the long head of the tricep when the arm is raised, emphasizing portions of the muscle that aren't fully active in neutral positions.
Now, just as a quick refresher, the long head of the biceps is the outside part and is what contributes more to that elusive bicep peak that so many people try to target.
Targeting the long head strategically at the end of a back focus session ensures it's fully activated when fatigued from compound movements. By emphasizing this area, you maximize the visual impact of bicep and improve overall arm aesthetics. Jeff Nippard's perfect pull day is now on the screen. Give it a go and let me know how you get on with it. Let me know if you really do think it is the perfect pull day. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and watch this next video.